So, how are anabolic steroids made? What is the pharma grade stuff? And what do I mean when it's cooked in Dave's bathtub? Let me explain. So, first of all, let's get the pharma grade stuff out the way. Anything that's pharma grade, like let's say there's a pharmaceutical brand or company like Bayer, then they will obviously manufacture the steroids the proper way. These are tried and tested, these are regulated, they have governing bodies, they have people testing, is it sterile, have they got the right ingredients, is the right amount. Every single thing is down to the nitty gritty. Like every single gram or milligram is measured correctly. And the margin for error is so minuscule. If they even get anything wrong, they can have a massive lawsuit on their heads. And that has happened with many other products that we can know of. You only have to Google certain lawsuits for pharmaceutical companies, and you will see that they have a very scandalous history about other stuff. But when it comes to testosterone, not so much. I don't know why. I think it's just not readily available to the general public, and I think that's why. And no pharmaceutical company has made billions off testosterone. So whether they're selling Anavar or whether they're selling Testosterone or Testoviron, or as you know some brands call it, no company is making a load of money off that. The companies that are making the billions, well, we know where they're making the billions, and we know the kind of products that people are buying that makes them the big bucks. So when it comes to steroids, there's no reason for them to have any sort of foul play, even though I do not trust them as far as I could throw them, and I couldn't throw them very far. So I don't trust them at all. But when it comes to testosterone, it's perfectly fine. If it's pharma grade Bayer testy, I will take it. Eyes closed. No issue, no problems. And guess what? Never had any problems, never had any issues. Now, I will, as a disclaimer, say this before I move forward. I haven't had any issues, touch wood, or any abscesses or any pains or anything really bad when it comes to steroids, other than the odd jab back in the days when I wasn't using sub-Q that left me with a really dull leg or a dull shoulder or just some real post-injection pain, which might have lasted a few days, or some soreness or some redness, or I got like a little bit of a golf ball in my ass once, which was really, really painful, and I had to have hot baths for at least a week in order for that to subside. And it did eventually go down and did disperse around the system, and it must have just been some dodgy gear. And I'm sure we've all been there and had it at one time in our lives. Dodgy gear that was cooked in Dave's bathtub, as I like to say. Now, what exactly is it? Well, first of all, let's go back to understanding what is testosterone and how does it come. Well, originally it comes in the raw form, which is a crystal. So you can actually go on Alibaba, type in steroid crystals, and you'll be able to do a quick search and you will be able to purchase it yourself on there. Strange, I know, but it's readily available, and as far as I know, it's very easy to ship over into the UK, and there you go, it's at your doorstep. The DHL guy will knock on the door, and before you know it, you've got some testosterone crystals ready to be dissolved and mixed and whatever the hell you want to do with it. Now, here is where the issue lies. First and foremost, anybody who is a person who manufactures steroids in the UK, it's a double-edged sword, in the sense where they are doing every single person, myself included, a great service. Thank you, gentlemen. But where there is profit, with everything, where there is some sort of profit to be gained, there's always a lot of unethical activities that go on. And it's no different in this game as it is in every single other game. If we're talking about the Colombian marching powder, then you know, or you might be familiar with the term stepped on. And what that technically means is that when they seize it in the UK and they measure the purity of that, it's no more than 20%. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not one of those people who take recreational drugs, but for those people, if I do remember, I don't think you can get more than 20% in the UK, which means what? It's been stepped on a few times. How many times? Who knows? I know the first time it's stepped on, it's at least 50%. Then it comes to the UK, he steps on it, pass it to the next man, he steps on it, he steps on it. Before you know it, before you've got it in your hands, half of it's rat poison, half of it's ephedrine, which they used to use back in the day. Some of it's a little baking soda. and the rest is a bit of creatine, and then you might have a little bit of the powder. So that is it basically. That's how it works, and it's no different to steroids. But the difference in steroids is rather than it being stepped on, it's just not mixed to its best purity. So the way it'll work is this. Let's say you get testosterone and the mixture would be 250 milligram of the actual crystals to 1 mil of the oil, carrier oil, whatever that might be. You mix it together, that would be the exact amount. That would be the correct way to do it. And then obviously they mix it in massive drums and they weigh it out. And there's a lot of processes that go on it. If you've actually been to these labs that actually do this kind of stuff, there's proper high-tech machinery, and the machinery is worth millions. Craziness of how much this equipment actually costs just to manufacture this stuff. But when Dave is cooking it in his bathtub, is he really cooking it in a bathtub? No, here's the issue. What he's doing is this. He's making it in a pan, in a saucepan, and a really big pan, depending on the level of the dealer or the level of the manufacturer in the UK. This is called underground labs, underground steroids. Anything that is made in a 10 mil vial, majority of it, not the US, but in the UK, if it's 10 mils and it doesn't come in a single mil snap cap, it is what we would call underground gear. And underground gear basically means that somebody has manufactured it. Some guy has had that in his house, made it in this big saucepan, filled it in, injected 10 mil in each vial, sealed it himself, and then just obviously done the labeling to it, and now it's in your hands ready to inject. And that is what we call underground gear. Now, if somebody is ethical and they are just a normal standard businessman and they have a good product and they're not there for a quick profit and they're there to stay for a long period of time, there's many companies out there, I'm not going to mention any companies obviously, but there's many companies out there that have been around for 10 years, they've got a good reputation, no matter how much people slate them on the forums and stuff like that. They're very ethical what they do. They manufacture the stuff. However they do it, whether it's in their bathtub or not, it's good. They're the least amount of people getting the infections off this kind of stuff. It's been around a long time, and majority of people can vouch for that gear. So what do we need to learn from this? What we need to learn from this is a few things. First of all, there's a lot of people out there after a quick bit of profit. And the issue with having a quick bit of profit is that it's going to harm the consumer. So you might make more money, and the way it is two ways it can be done. So first of all, let's say you get 250 milligram of the crystal and you want to mix it with 1 mil of carrier oil. You might think, well, if I just dilute this with more carrier oil, because carrier oil is cheaper, what if I just put 125 milligram in each mil? That way I'm doubling my profit, stepping on it technically. And that is one way that these guys operate. So you will often have a lot of gear in circulation that is what we would call underdosed. Now, same with tablets. Tablets are exactly the same. Tablets are a little bit harder to tell if it works or not. And then, it's a cat and mouse chase. It's like, which gear is good? Who made this? Who didn't? Which lab was it tested by? Don't buy into any of that. Here's what you want to do. Don't be the guinea pig. Simple as. Do not be the guinea pig. If there's a new bit of gear that hits the market, just wait. Wait your turn. Let's see the other guys trying it. There's going to be so many eager guys out there, willing participants who are going to want to try this new cooked gear. Let them try it. Are many people getting abscesses of it? No. Is it okay? Is it safe? Is the carrier oil good? Okay, that's good. No infections? No. Is it good dosed? Yeah. And normally someone will say, yeah, it's all right, mate. It's not too bad. The way you would tell that is if you now know that the gear is good, you would then use the gear for 3 months, go and do some blood work and see if it matches the blood work with your pharma grade stuff or with the stuff that you had before that you knew was working. If your readings are even a slight bit off, then it's okay. Sorry, if your readings are a slight bit off, then it's okay. How can we say it? If it's like 10% up or down, that's okay. But now if it's 50% up or down, then clearly there's an issue with the gear. So what do we do then? What's the next best option? How do we do it? This is what I say to majority of people when people ask me, Faddy, where do you get your gear from? Where do you get your TRT from? Well, myself personally, I get mine abroad. Now, many people are going to be like, well, I don't go as often as abroad as you do. That ain't my fault, bro. If you want Pharma grade stuff, and you can't be asked to source it out from someone who's reputable. You can't be asked to join the gym, find out what the guys are taking. You can't be asked to take the stuff, wait 3 months whilst taking it and making sure your blood work matches the blood work from before, or you were a newbie to this and you were really iffy about, I don't know whether I should take it, should I not, I don't know, is it real good gear, is it not going to be gear, is it going to be fake, is it going to be mixed right, is it going to be underdosed? If you've got all these questions, you've got all these things in your mind, then guess what? Book a flight. Go to Greece, go to Egypt, go to Turkey, go to Thailand, go to Pakistan, get a visa for these places and go fill your suitcase and come back. Don't sit here bitching and moaning and complaining to the next man. It's your responsibility to look after your health, nobody else's. Do not ever think that the guy who you got that gear from, it's his responsibility to make sure it was cooked good. It's not the responsibility of the guy making it. It's not the responsibility of the guy selling it. The only person who's responsible if anything goes wrong whilst you are jabbing is you. It's your responsibility. So if you want to play the game of buying stuff in the UK and you're wondering, is it pharma, is it not, is it expensive, is it this, it's on you, bro. But I will say this one thing. There's a hell of a lot of pharma grade gear in the UK. Many people do us a solid service of bringing it, importing it into the UK. So what we should do is make sure that keeps turning. And the way we're doing it is becoming the consumer of pharma grade gear. Every single person who's on TRT should use pharma grade. A lot of people say, well, this is £60, this is £70. What about this 35 quid vial over here? Are you nuts? You want to save £30 on your health. 30 quid. What's 30 quid going to do when you're in A&E and the nurse is there scooping dead gear out of your ass? Not a pretty sight, is it, mate? So there's your £30 saved. Or I would say, well spent if you want to not be an idiot and buy the pharmaceutical grade stuff. Spend the money, bro. Spend the money. Don't be a cheapskate. Hopefully this gave you some value. Comment down below. Don't buy dodgy gear and subscribe.